Icy cold, I'm just a diamond in the rough. Keep it cool, cause every time I'm rising up. I'm on a roll, oh yeah, I do it like that. I'm riding mode, oh na 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 na. Got 'em like
Hello, I'm Jared with Microsoft. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are like a lot of our customers, perhaps you've heard how exciting artificial intelligence is, but you're not aware of all the ways that it can actually help you day to day. We have designed this session to walk you through Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat and all of the diverse ways that it can help you in your role. With that said, let's dive in and take a look at our agenda. We're going to kick things off with how do we actually access Copilot Chat. There are several ways that we can dive in and start interacting with Copilot in the apps that we know and love. I'll show you some of the top ways that we can bring Copilot Chat into our workflow. Then, I want to discuss the ways that we can write the best prompts to Copilot so that you can get the best possible results. The majority of our session, though, will be demonstrations showing how we can use Copilot in a variety of ways, not only to summarize information, but to draft new content, to gain analysis and insights from our existing files, to visualize data and generate code, and how we can use more advanced features of Copilot, like Pages, in order to enhance our workflow. And finally, we'll discuss next steps and recap all that we've learned. With that said, let's dive in. When we think about Microsoft 365 Copilot, the main way that we are going to interact with it is by using Copilot Chat. When we interact with Copilot via chat, it's like we are talking to our own personal assistant. We like to refer to this as your AI assistant for work. Now, of course, when we think about artificial intelligence, we want to make sure that we're doing this in a safe and responsible way. So before we continue, I want to let you know that our tools run on trust. The information that you provide to Copilot is your data. It is not used to train the AI models. And it is protected by some of the most comprehensive security and compliance controls that we have at Microsoft. So when you are interacting with Copilot, it is in a safe manner when you are signed in with your work account through Microsoft 365. So what is Copilot Chat? Chat is the primary way that you'll interact with Microsoft 365 Copilot. It can be accessed both with a Microsoft 365 Copilot license and without a license. Let me explain this in more detail. Without a license assigned, you are still able to take advantage of robust Copilot capabilities. You are able to have a secure chat that is grounded in the web and powered by some of the latest GPT models. You're also able to interact with agents who can do research on your behalf, analyze documents, and even help improve your writing. Some agents are priced on a metered basis to your organization. Of course, even without a license assigned, IT controls are still present, and the organization maintains control over how everyone within it is able to interact with Copilot. And finally, features like Copilot Pages and the ability to upload a document for Copilot to review, and even generating AI imagery is all available at no additional cost without a license assigned. However, when your organization assigns you a Microsoft 365 Copilot license, you do gain some very powerful capabilities. In addition to being grounded in the web, your chat is also now grounded in your data. This is every Teams meeting that you've ever set up or been invited to, all of the emails you have ever sent or received, the Teams chats that you've been a part of, and all of the documents that you have access to. All of that is available to you through Copilot Chat. Copilot is able to search through all of that information and bring you some of the most useful and relevant knowledge. Also, Copilot is more deeply integrated into the Microsoft 365 apps that you know and love, things like Teams, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. There is a Copilot button there where you can interact directly in the context of what you are currently working on. And when you have a Copilot license assigned, there are even greater capabilities inside of those experiences. And finally, you have even more robust options when it comes to managing Copilot through the Copilot control system. So those features I've just mentioned are only available when your organization has invested in a Microsoft 365 Copilot license. Throughout our session together today, I am only going to show you experiences that do not require a license and can be used by everyone. I want to let you know some tips so that you can get the most out of your conversations with Copilot. Here are just a few. When you are entering a prompt, there's going to be a box that looks like this. Feel free to write in your normal, natural speech exactly what you want Copilot to do. In a moment, I'll give you some tips as to how you can write your best prompts. But also note, there is a plus icon in your chats. You can press that and add content. This is really useful. This can be used to upload Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, PDFs, and other work content. Whenever Copilot is pulling information from the web, it likes to provide sources, which is really useful. You'll see these sources listed at the bottom of the response that Copilot gives you. You can hover over those numbers to see what was sourced, and you'll also find it at the bottom of the total chat response. It's not just a single question and response. The conversation is back and forth. Within the context of each conversation, Copilot will remember the previous messages that you've sent and what Copilot has said back to you. So feel free to follow up and continue the conversation to get the best results. You can also create new things with Copilot. And this is not only text. Copilot is able to generate rich imagery with greater precision than we've had in the past. So you can ask it to produce a document from scratch or even create an image. And Copilot will be able to do that and provide it for you to download all directly within the chat interface. One very important piece of information to know is Copilot's limitations. Because Copilot is so powerful and we are able to have natural conversations with it, it is understandable for you to think that Copilot could do almost anything, but it cannot. And there are still things that Copilot is not able to do. So as you get more familiar with Copilot, it will let you know when it is not able to do things. Keep those in mind as you interact with Copilot. And remember, it is a Copilot, not an autopilot. You need to review everything that Copilot creates before you submit it as your own. When you send that email to someone or you submit that document, it is your name that is attached to it. So be sure to review everything that Copilot creates because Copilot can make mistakes. With that in mind, let's take a look at how Copilot manifests itself across the different things that you use day to day. On your PC, there are several ways that you can access Copilot. Let's take a look at some of them. First, I can open up my Microsoft Edge browser. If I look right up here at the top right-hand side, I'll see the Copilot button. I can press this to open the Copilot sidebar. Alternatively, I can simply go to m365copilot.com, which will take me directly to the Copilot interface on the web. But that is not the only place that I can find Copilot. I can also open up Outlook. And from here, I can see that I have a Copilot icon right here on the sidebar. When I press this, it will bring up the Copilot chat interface again. Alternatively, let's say I'm in Microsoft Teams. You will find Copilot again here on the sidebar. When I select that, it will also bring up the Copilot Chat interface. However, the most feature-rich way that we can interact with Copilot is using the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. This may already be installed on your device, or you can ask your IT administrator to allow it to be installed. It looks like this. And I have it already open here in my taskbar. When I open this up, I see the full Microsoft 365 interface. Let's take a look at this interface in a bit more detail. On the left-hand side, the Chat tab is where we are going to do most of our interacting with Copilot, but there are other areas for you to explore. You can find the agents that you have configured, and you can find a list of all of your past conversations. Copilot pages can be found here inside of the library, and I can look at the Create tab to do things like image generation using artificial intelligence. Under Apps, I can also find links to some of your favorite Office apps. This is a basic tour of the Copilot Chat interface. Now that we know where Copilot lives, let's talk about how we can best prompt Copilot. Here are just a couple of tips. With a Copilot license assigned, you can ask Copilot information about your organization. Tell me about Project X, which stakeholders are working on it, for example. Without a license, you have Copilot's help to edit text, transform documents into another type of document or some other piece of information, summarize content, and much more. When you are creating a prompt, it is best to create a prompt that has these 4 elements: the goal, the context, the sources that you would like Copilot to consult, and the expectations as to how Copilot should respond. So for example, the goal would be to generate 3 to 5 bullet points. The context would be, it's preparing me for a meeting with client X to discuss their brand campaign. The source, focus on email and Teams chats since June. That's a very useful piece of knowledge for Copilot that I can include if I have a license. And when it comes to the expectations, use simple language so I can get up to speed quickly. When you give Copilot these 4 elements, it's going to be even more useful to you. Now, a couple of key tips for you to keep in mind. In addition to some exciting capabilities like translating languages and writing stories and solving technical problems, there are some other hints to get even more value out of Copilot. 1, it is helpful to communicate clearly. Use good punctuation and grammar, because we all can get confused when grammar is incorrect. If we are changing topics, it is helpful to start a fresh new conversation. And it is useful to be professional and treat Copilot with respect. This may seem odd at first, but it has been shown that Copilot gives better and more thoughtful responses when you speak to it like a trusted colleague, as opposed to treating it poorly. So being professional to Copilot is just good practice. Now, if you would like to explore some of the prompts that exist already, you have the ability to do that. There is something called the Copilot Prompt Gallery. You can access it by clicking an icon that looks like this near your Copilot Chat interface. This will open up the Prompt Gallery, and you can take a look at some of the prompts that have been created by our team at Microsoft and others. You can even press this bookmark icon that you see here to save those prompts for future use. If you find one that works really well for you, you can share that prompt with a colleague. You'll see a copy prompt icon right here. That link will populate the prompt into a new chat box automatically. so you can use that prompt over and over and even send it to your colleagues. Now let's take a look at Copilot in action. We are going to walk through each of these different capabilities one by one, and I'll demonstrate them for you. And to get started, we're going to see how Copilot can summarize information and help us stay informed. I find myself here in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app on the Chat tab. I'm going to ask Copilot to generate a 5-point news brief on the electric vehicle charging industry from the past month. I'm also going to specifically ask it to show sources and include data on the prevalence of different types of charging port. I'll simply hit Submit, and Copilot will start processing. Now, in this example, I'm working as Diego, an employee of Boulder Innovations, an electric vehicle charging company. So this is useful for me to gather the latest information. In here, I can see that it has followed my formatting request. I have my distinct points covering market trends, but it also captured the specific detail I asked for regarding the various types of charging ports. And critically, all the way at the bottom, it has cited the sources for each point, so I can verify this data if I need to. Let's ask Copilot something else. In order to start a new chat with Copilot, I can press this button right up here. This will clear the conversation, and this is important to do because Copilot, in its responses, considers the conversation that you are having. So if you abruptly change topics, it should be able to follow you, but sometimes, just like a human, it can lose context. So selecting a new chat when we're doing something different is a good practice. I'm going to ask Copilot to help me communicate with a partner. I am pasting in a draft email to a new vendor in Amsterdam. I am asking Copilot to translate it into Dutch, but I've added specific instructions. I want a professional yet casual tone. I want it to consider the local dialect, and I've explicitly asked for no emojis. I'll hit Submit, and Copilot will provide the translation. Let's take a look. Excellent. It has taken my draft message and converted it into a culturally appropriate Dutch email. Copilot is very capable with languages. It didn't just translate word for word. It respected my constraints. It kept the formatting clean for a business email and matched the tone I requested. This helps me communicate authentically without worrying about language barriers. Let's try another example. In this scenario, I'm acting as an IT support specialist. I need to create documentation for our internal help desk. I'll start a new chat, and I'll ask Copilot to provide clear, numbered steps for forgetting a Bluetooth device in Windows 11. I'm also asking it to reference official Microsoft sources and format it specifically for quick troubleshooting. Great. Now, because I asked for a help desk guide, the formatting is excellent. These are clear, numbered steps that I can copy and paste directly into a support ticket or an article. What's really valuable here is that it's also included the official Microsoft source links that I requested. This ensures that information is passing on to employees accurately and in a verified way. It summarized what could be a complex search process into a quick, actionable resource. Next, I want to show how Copilot can help brainstorm new ideas and even generate new content. Copilot is not only good at summarizing information, but it's also fantastic at creating new information. Copilot can help you brainstorm and draft new content. So let's take a look at how it does this. I am here on the Chat tab, and I'm asking Copilot to help me create a 5-question user research survey on EV charging speeds. This will be an anonymous survey, so we do not need to ask for personal data. Let's see Copilot create an entirely new survey. Okay, perfect. Here I have my survey, and it asks some logical questions about how people would charge and use their vehicle. Now, these questions are great, but I want to guide the user a little bit more. I'm going to ask Copilot to add short, clear descriptions for each question to explain the purpose and help readers understand how to respond. Okay, I can see now there is right underneath each question a bit of explanation as to why this question matters. This is helpful context that can guide them along completing this survey. Copilot can iterate, and even though it created the first draft without all that information, all I need to do is use my words to describe to Copilot how I would like it changed, and it would implement those changes for me easily. Now that Copilot has helped us make this survey, I want to get it into a document. I'm going to ask Copilot to format this as a Word document so I can share it with my team for review. Copilot is not just able to create bodies of text, but it is also able to create entire files. I can see that Copilot is analyzing the request. Here, Copilot is letting me know, in just a moment, that the Word document is ready, and it even gave me a link to download it. Let's take a look. Now that it's downloaded, I can open it right here at the top, and that will open in Microsoft Word. I can see that it kept my question descriptions, it kept all of the available options. All that's left for me to do is to save this and share this however I would like. Let's try something else. I want to have Copilot help build an entire blog post. I'm going to ask for Copilot's help to draft a social media blog post about the latest electric vehicle charging technology. The goal is to create engaging copy for our company page that highlights key innovations and appeals to a tech-savvy audience. I'll ask Copilot to provide a short, catchy post in a conversational tone and to reference credible sources. Okay, so Copilot has looked through the web to find relevant information, highlight industry trends, and provide me draft copy for this blog post. It has provided an example of a headline, an introduction, and a body. Let's take this idea and refine it a little bit more. I want to target specific audiences. I'm going to ask Copilot to provide 2 variations of this blog post. One should be focused on the commercial perspective, and the second should highlight a residential perspective. Okay, it looks like Copilot has provided me these 2 options that I've requested. Here's one from a commercial lens, using terminology relevant to business operations. And I can see here that there is a view through the residential lens, highlighting features that matter more to a homeowner. So these are great. I can now expand on them. However, I want to move this into a workspace where I can edit the text, but still keep Copilot nearby. I want to draw your attention here to the bottom of Copilot's response. There is an icon that looks like a pen with lines behind it. This allows us to take this response and edit it in Copilot Pages. By pressing this, it is going to take that response and move it into this element that you see here. What's nice about a Copilot page is that I'm able to save this and even invite people to collaborate with me. That way, I do not always have to keep coming back to this one conversation history. Now that we are in the page, let's get a second opinion. You can ask Copilot to review its own work. Just like us humans, everything is always worth a second review. I'm going to ask, can you review these 2 blog posts and suggest improvements to maximize user engagement? If you notice, Copilot is now reading the content on the page and offering specific advice on how to improve the tone and clarity. I can now accept these suggestions and add them to my page. To do this, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of my page, and I'll add a little space. Now, I'll go over to Copilot's response and scroll all the way to the bottom. Where I previously saw the Edit in Pages button, I now see a plus icon. I can select this, and now it will take this response from Copilot and put it right here on this collaborative canvas for me and all of my colleagues to participate in. I like what we've created here. Let's give our page a title so that I can reference it later. The title is located up here at the top. I'll select it and then give it a title. And there we go. It is named. Copilot Pages allows all of our colleagues to work together in this one area, and we'll be showing you a bit more about it later in our session. Copilot can take the files that you give it, analyze them, and extract out the key information. I want to show you some examples of how Copilot can help you gather insights from your files. Copilot excels at generating insights based on your documents. Let me give you an example. Here in this prompt, I can select this plus icon to add content to my prompt. So from here, I can select Upload Images and Files, and then find the necessary file on my device. This will then be uploaded to my OneDrive, and it is now ready for my prompt. I'm going to ask Copilot to analyze the responses from this survey for an internal performance review. I want to identify key trends and summarize key insights in a clear, bulleted format. We'll want this to be written professionally for an executive audience. Great. Now that it's finished this work, let's scroll down and see our analysis. It leads with some key insights, letting me know what things have stood out. It highlights usage frequency, mixed satisfaction levels, and reported charging speeds. All of this is analyzing the responses that customers gave. Copilot is able to look at those, analyze exactly what they are trying to say, and then give us this useful information. However, I want to have something that is a bit more concise that I can send to others on our team. So I will ask Copilot to draft a summary of this analysis, highlighting notable quotes from the responses. And just like that, Copilot comes back with key insights. Here are some quotes, as you see, with each response. I'm seeing a customer's direct quote as well as the summarized data. Let's see how Copilot can extract information from a long-form collegiate research study. I've downloaded to my computer this PDF file, and I'll open it in Microsoft Edge. This is an actual study produced by the University of California, Los Angeles about electric vehicle charging at work. As I scroll through this document, you can see just how lengthy and comprehensive this document is. This is a lot for anyone to read, especially if English is your second language. So Copilot can help me make sense of this rich information. I'm going to minimize these windows and open up Copilot, where I've already drafted a prompt. I'm going to ask Copilot to provide a detailed summary and outline of this document and provide the study's key findings. Just as we did before, I uploaded this PDF to my OneDrive using the plus icon at the bottom left of the prompt entry window. And now I'll hit submit. Okay, let's take a look at the summary and outline that Copilot has provided. As I scroll through, I can see it has really summarized this to just the most impactful key findings, as well as provided me an outline of the overall document. This will really help if I want to focus on one section of the document in particular. Now, this is very useful so I can navigate this document with greater ease. However, I want to extract insights that are most relevant to our organization as a business that manufactures electric vehicle chargers for commercial organizations. So let's ask Copilot to extract even more relevant insights. I'm going to ask Copilot to give us insights from the study that are most relevant for a company that manufactures electric vehicle charging solutions for commercial businesses. Now, this is the type of insights I am wanting to see. It's provided a lot of really useful knowledge, letting us know that pricing strategy can drive efficiency, that free charging may encourage greater adoption, but it leads to inefficient use. I can see information about time of day usage patterns and the responsiveness to price. This has helped take a very long document and distill it down to precisely what is going to be most relevant for me in my role. Copilot is not only great at analyzing a document, but it can also analyze screenshots and images. So let's move back to that same document, and I'll open this in Microsoft Edge. I'm going to scroll now all the way down to page 35, where I can see a very large table. To take a screenshot of this, I'm going to open the snipping tool in Windows 11. I can do this with a keyboard combination, Windows key, Shift, and S. And once I do this, I can drag a box around that exact table. Great. Once I release, that has been captured in the clipboard in Windows, and I can now paste it wherever I'd like. I'll return to Copilot. I'm going to ask Copilot simply, what relevant insights can you find in this table? Okay, Copilot has read through all of the information in that image that I provided it. Even though it wasn't a properly formatted table, the artificial intelligence in Copilot is able to analyze it and give me these insights. As I scroll down, I can see it's telling me more about the efficiency, the turnover of these parking spaces, adoption and utilization information, including when sessions were most utilized and least utilized. I can see the pricing performance and revenue information. All of this was able to be extracted directly from that table. This is just one study and just one example. If you think about the documents that you interact with every day and the documents that you may encounter in your own role, by utilizing Copilot to gather insights and extract information, you can be even more prepared for the road ahead. Sometimes you just need a visual to be able to see it. We're going to discuss how we can visualize data and even generate entirely new images using Copilot. Copilot Chat allows us to use more than just text. Let's give it a try. Here in my Copilot Chat window, I am asking to create a header image for the upcoming blog post that we've been working on regarding electric vehicle charging technology. I want it to be specific. I'm asking for a photorealistic close-up shot of a charging cable plugged into a vehicle port. I have also specified that the handle should have white accents with a black cable. Now, when I submit this, Copilot will review my prompt and begin generating an image. Look at that. It is exactly what we asked for. I have a high quality image that captures the specific details of the connector, the action of it being plugged into the vehicle. This is useful, and we can put that right into the blog post. Copilot can also help us visualize spaces. I have a reference image of an empty room. Looks like a nice space, but we can fill this and imagine it with different furniture, plants, and artwork. So, let's return to Copilot and tell it what we want to create. Instead of using Copilot Chat, I'm going to open the Create tab here on the left column. I'm going to ask Copilot to place mid-century modern conference room furnishings inside of this space and include ceiling lights, plants, and wall art. You see I've referenced that empty room image there, so let's see how Copilot transforms this space. This is one great example of how we can use it for space planning, but let's take this a step further. We can take a specific product, like our electric vehicle charger, and visualize it in completely new environments. Take a look at this original image. This is a marketing photograph of our new Charge Hub device. This can be used to charge electric vehicles. But as it's currently shown, it's in a somewhat gray, bland environment. I want Copilot to take this and place it in somewhere that's a bit more compelling. Let's follow some of those same steps we did before. I'm asking Copilot to take the charger from the reference image and put it in a side-by-side image, where one charger is in an outdoor parking lot with a nice landscape view, and the other charger is outside of a movie theater. Let's see Copilot go to work. Okay, I have my side-by-side images, one in a parking lot with a landscape background, and the other very much in front of a movie theater. Now, if I need to make some refinements to my prompt or change the way that Copilot created this image, I have options here on the right side to transform this image further. I can do things like select a different style, change the color palette to prefer certain colors over others. And because I have a side-by-side image, it would probably be better if instead of a square, we chose a landscape image. After I've applied the changes I'd like, I can simply hit Update. And there's the result. We were able to take that square image and now recompose it as a landscape image, giving it even more space. And if I'd like, I can continue to prompt Copilot and refine this result even further. And as a reminder, this was the original image that we were working with. So it was able to take this charger and immediately place it in a different location. Now let's try something creative with text. I want to create a stylized graphic. I'm going to provide a reference image of this light bulb here at sunset. And I'm going to ask Copilot to stylize this to write the word charge. Now I'll leave some of the creative direction here up to Copilot. I just want it to have a similar feeling as this photo. So let me open up our Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and I've given it that direction to stylize the word charge in 3D using material from the reference image with the sunset showing through. Let's see how it accomplishes this task. Wow, what a beautiful image. I can see it has listened to me and put this in this glass style with the sunset there right behind the word charge. So this will be useful if I'm making some new content or a PowerPoint slide. I can change this to mean whatever I'd like. And of course, I can use the controls here on the side or even add additional instructions to modify that image further. Consistency is critical for branding, and Copilot can help here too. Here, I have a set of icons with a specific style and color palette. I need a new icon that matches the look and feel of this set. Let's see how Copilot can make something new that aligns with this visual style. My prompt is this: create an icon of a building with an electrical plug overlaid on it, but use the same style and color palette as the set from the reference image. Let's go. And there we have it. Copilot analyzed the original set of icons, and as you can see, this is in very much that same style. So this is incredibly helpful for keeping the visual identity consistent, and it will work with a wide array of different design languages. Now, let's switch gears and look at visualizing data. I want to give Copilot a really complicated prompt based on a spreadsheet. In this Excel spreadsheet, we have attendee information from a recent launch event, and there is a healthy amount of information that this document covers. I'm going to ask Copilot to help me out here. I'm instructing Copilot to create a line chart that compares the total website clicks during the event, and I've told it which column that is, clicks post-event, and the social media follows using daily totals by registration date. And I've uploaded a copy of that Excel file to the Copilot Chat window. This is a complex request. Let's see how Copilot does. Great. Copilot has worked through the request. Let's take a look at the chart. I have a chart here with a legend comparing the different metrics, the clicks during the event and post the event, as well as the social information from LinkedIn. And I can see how that has changed over time, both immediately after the event and in the trailing months. Copilot needed to sort through all of that information we saw in the Excel spreadsheet to provide us the chart that we see here. However, I want to see the total impact over time rather than just these daily spikes. I can always tweak the response. I'm going to ask Copilot to show cumulative curves instead of lines. Let's give this a try. And there we go. Now, instead of those daily spikes, this gives me a much smoother line showing the total growth over time. Copilot was able to take that raw data, analyze it, and give me two distinct types of charts. And when I needed creative imagery for my blog post or brand assets, it was able to generate those as well. These capabilities and the others that we haven't even explored yet give us so many new, powerful ways to create. If there is one thing that seems very complicated, it is generating code and using formulas. I myself find that to be difficult. Copilot understands this beautifully. So let's take a look at how we can generate code and formulas using Copilot. Artificial intelligence, like Copilot, understands languages exceptionally well, and coding and formulas are just another type of language. Copilot is exceptional at these types of tasks. Let's see a few examples in action. I have a sales Excel spreadsheet, but there's a problem. As I am telling Copilot, the total sales formula in the attached Excel file is giving the wrong result. And I'm asking it to identify the error and explain what is wrong before fixing it. Let's let Copilot take over. Okay, let's see the response. All right, it looks like it has found the problem. The grand total formula is summing the line total column, but the sum range stops one row too early, so it omits the final item. Okay, so that makes sense, and it's showing the evidence it is using to back up that claim. Now, Copilot, per my instructions, is telling us how to fix it, but it has not yet applied that change. So let's do that now. I'm going to say, okay, please fix it. As I scroll down, Copilot lets me know that it has applied the fix for me. It confirms exactly what it changed, shows me the answer, and then lets me know how I can verify it. In fact, it's given me a link that I can click to download a fixed version of that Excel file. Think about what this means. I was able to have Copilot's help analyzing that Excel file, and it even went in and fixed the error for me. I did not even have to open the Excel application because I already knew what needed to be done. Now I can open the file, view the fixed information, and continue with my work. This capability is not only for Excel formulas, it can even be used on some more advanced code. In this example, I have a Python code file. I can attach it to my Copilot prompt and ask it a specific question. The attached Python script is supposed to calculate the average of a list of numbers, but the output is wrong. I am asking it to explain the bug and how to fix it, but I have told it to not correct the issue yet. Let's see what we find. Here, Copilot has reviewed the file and is telling me what is going on. It's showing me what the code currently does, but also showing me what was wrong with it. It appears that Copilot has found the exact line that's causing the issue. It is telling us the concept, but not actually changing the code yet, just as I requested. Now, let's have Copilot fix it for us. Looks like Copilot is done fixing that for me. And here is a box with that line corrected. There is one thing I do want to call out here. I have these icons up at the top of the code block. This allows me to go right to a specific line of code, copy the code in its entirety, or display options for how I want to view it. I can also see what type of language mode it is in. Copilot has correctly recognized that this is a Python code. This is really useful. And now I have that corrected Python code ready to go. It has tested the result and confirmed that it is correct. And if I would like, it even gave me a link to download the corrected Python script. You have seen Copilot modify Excel formulas and use Python, but Copilot can do even more. It can process things like JavaScript, HTML, and even create web pages. The possibilities are endless when it comes to generating code and using formulas. When Copilot gives you useful information, sometimes we want to view that in a nice, clean page. Copilot Pages allows you to take a response from Copilot and use that as a foundation to create and edit in a shareable space for further collaboration. Let's take a look at Pages. We love collaboration here at Boulder Innovations, and a Copilot page is an excellent way for us to contain all of our ideas on a topic and collaborate together as a team. Here's where I can find my Copilot pages in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. I'm going to move over to the side where I see Library. When I open this, it'll show me a list of the different pages that I've created, and here is the page that we made earlier. When I click it, it opens it nice and large for us to get working. Now currently, I am only interacting with this alone. I can see that because at the top center of my page, I see my profile picture only. So we can invite others to collaborate with us. I can do that by hitting share, and I have a couple of different ways that I can share this with other people. I can provide a link that allows them to access this page only, or I can copy the component. Now, what I mean by component is something called a loop component. A Microsoft Loop component can be pasted in a variety of places, like in Outlook and Teams, and wherever someone is looking at it, they can interact and collaborate live without needing to open up the Microsoft 365 Copilot app or go anywhere else. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to select Copy Component. That link is now copied. Watch what happens when I paste this. Let's take an example of an Outlook email. I'll open up Outlook, and let's draft a new email to Maya. Now, as I am writing my email, I can simply paste that link. But notice, this does not look like any other link. This has added a loop component. As I scroll down, you'll notice this is that same page from earlier. If I want to change something here and start writing, I can do that directly in my Outlook inbox. When I move back to my Microsoft 365 app and close this, I can see that the cursor of the other instance is here, and I can even watch the letters as they are typed. I'll minimize this app, and I'll minimize Outlook, and let's open Microsoft Teams. I've started a new conversation, also with Maya. In this Teams message, I can paste that exact same link. Now, once I do, you'll notice it is showing that same page again. I can even see the other cursor from Outlook. I can scroll through it and make changes all at once, and even add my other cursor here. I'll minimize Teams, and then open up the Copilot app. And now you'll see there are two instances of this live collaboration. And if I want Copilot's help, it is never too far away. I can move my cursor right up here to the top left, and this will bring in the familiar Copilot Chat interface, where I can ask it questions and gather additional information to add to my page. I'm working alone together today, but imagine if we had an entire team of people. They can all be working on different parts of this Copilot page at the same time, across a variety of different applications, in Teams, in Outlook, here in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, or through the browser. Copilot pages are an excellent way for all of our team to come together and collaborate in one place. And all of that's available here in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. As you've seen throughout our session today, utilizing Copilot Chat to just have a simple conversation with AI is a really powerful tool. It helps us not only summarize information, but also analyze it, create entirely new bodies of text or images, and do things that maybe we weren't capable of before, like generating code and writing formulas. Copilot is always learning and growing, and we're so excited to have you here along this journey. The information on your screen provides links to resources you can explore to dive deeper into Copilot and continue your learning. Thank you so much for joining us for this session, and we're excited to see what new heights you can achieve with Microsoft 365 Copilot.